Welcome to Gone Legends. Before we continue, let's take a moment to remember some American stars whose art, voices, and presence touched millions, people we lost in 2025. Though gone, their stories and legacies carry on. Angie Stone was born on December 18, 1961, in Columbia, South Carolina. From an early age, music was part of her identity. It ran through her like a heartbeat. Her voice carried a natural warmth, a texture that spoke of experience, emotion, and truth. Before the world knew her name, she was already making her mark in music. In the late 1970s, Angie began her career with the all-female hip-hop trio The Sequence, one of the first female rap groups to sign a major label deal. But it was in R&B and soul that she found her true home, a place where her sound could stretch, breathe, and touch hearts. Through the 1990s and early 2000s, Angie Stone helped shape the neo-soul movement, standing proudly alongside artists like Erykah Badu, D'Angelo, and Jill Scott. Her albums, Black Diamond, Mahogany Soul, and Stone Love, blended vintage soul with modern emotion. And her signature song, Wish I Didn't Miss You, became an anthem for heartbreak and reflection, its raw honesty resonating deeply with listeners worldwide. Angie's voice was more than melody. It was message. Every note carried strength, vulnerability, and authenticity. She sang about love and loss, but also about resilience and self-respect. Her music made people feel seen, especially those who had weathered life's storms and still chose to stand tall. On March 1, 2025, Angie Stone's life ended tragically in a car crash in Montgomery, Alabama. She was 63 years old. News of her passing spread quickly, and tributes poured in from across the music industry. Fans and fellow artists remembered not just her incredible voice, but her kindness, her wisdom, and her unwavering dedication to the art of storytelling through song. Angie Stone's legacy is one of honesty and soul. She voiced the struggle, the heartache, and the joy of real life. Her songs continue to echo in radio waves, playlists, and hearts around the world. She reminded us that music can heal, that it can bring comfort, courage, and connection. Though her time was cut short, Angie Stone's influence on R&B and soul remains powerful. Every time her voice plays, we're reminded that truth, when sung with heart, never fades. Brian Douglas Wilson, born on June 20, 1942, in Inglewood, California, was the musical architect behind one of America's most influential bands, the Beach Boys. As co-founder, composer, and producer, Wilson helped define what became known as the California sound, a golden blend of harmony, youth, and freedom that came to represent an entire generation. From the very beginning, Brian's gift for music was undeniable. He could hear layers of sound in his head before they ever existed on tape, harmonies that shimmered, melodies that soared, and arrangements that broke every rule of pop. His songwriting produced timeless hits like God Only Knows, Wouldn't It Be Nice, and Good Vibrations, songs that not only dominated the charts but expanded the boundaries of what popular music could achieve. Behind the brilliance, however, lay a deeply human struggle. As his fame grew, so did the pressures of perfection and creativity. Wilson battled mental health challenges throughout his life, enduring years of personal turmoil and isolation. Yet even in his darkest moments, his genius continued to shine. Albums like Pet Sounds and Smile revealed the depth of his emotional and artistic vision, works that transformed pop into something symphonic, spiritual, and deeply personal. Brian Wilson's approach to music was revolutionary. He turned the recording studio into an instrument, experimenting with layered vocals, unconventional structures, and lush orchestration. His courage to break conventions inspired artists from the Beatles to Radiohead, shaping the evolution of rock and pop for decades to come. On June 11, 2025, Brian Wilson passed away at the age of 82. His death marked the end of an era, the loss of a man whose songs soundtracked the dreams of millions. Fans around the world mourned not just a musician, but a visionary who showed that vulnerability and imagination could coexist in harmony. Brian Wilson's legacy transcends nostalgia. His work forever changed how we understand melody, emotion, and the human spirit. His music was sunshine and sorrow woven together, a reminder that even in struggle, beauty can emerge. Brian Wilson will always be remembered as a pioneer who redefined the limits of pop music and left behind a sound that continues to echo through time. Floyd Levine was born on February 23, 1932, in New York City, a place that would later become both the backdrop and the inspiration for many of the stories he helped tell on screen. From an early age, he showed an interest in performance and storytelling, eventually carving out a career that would span more than half a century. Levine was the very definition of a character actor, the kind of performer who might not always have the headline role, but whose face and presence audiences instantly recognized. His performances carried a quiet power, grounded, believable, and deeply human. He appeared in some of television's most beloved classics, including Columbo, The Dukes of Hazzard, Heart to Heart, and Charlie's Angels. His roles might have been small, but they were never forgettable. In film, Levine often portrayed law enforcement officers, detectives, or military figures, roles that required both authority and authenticity. He brought credibility to every character he played, transforming background moments into lasting impressions. That was his gift, making the ordinary feel real, and the supporting roles feel essential to the story. On August 24, 2025, Floyd Levine passed away in Los Angeles, at the age of 93. His death marked the close of a long, dedicated life in the entertainment industry, a career that stretched across eras, from the golden days of network television to the modern age of film. Levine's legacy is one of consistency, craftsmanship, and professionalism. He was the actor directors could always rely on, the one who made every scene richer, every cast stronger, and every story more believable. While he may never have sought fame, his artistry left its mark on countless productions and in the memories of audiences who may not have known his name but always remembered his face. Floyd Levine will be remembered as one of Hollywood's quiet pillars, a man whose subtle, authentic performances gave life and realism to every story he touched. Peter Edward Osling, known professionally as Peter Jason, was born on July 22, 1944, in Los Angeles, California. From an early age, Jason was drawn to performance, storytelling, and the larger-than-life characters he would one day bring to the screen. Over the decades, he became one of Hollywood's most trusted and recognizable character actors, a man whose face audiences might not always remember by name, but whose presence they would never forget. Throughout his long and versatile career, Peter Jason specialized in roles of authority, law enforcement officers, military commanders, and strong, commanding figures who exuded integrity and weight. He had a unique ability to bring realism and depth to supporting characters, grounding every scene he appeared in with quiet power. Jason's work stretched across genres, from drama and action to science fiction and horror. He was a frequent collaborator with visionary directors such as John Carpenter and Walter Hill, appearing in cult classics and major productions alike. His filmography includes memorable roles in They Live, Prince of Darkness, 48 Hours, Streets of Fire, and In the Mouth of Madness. He also made appearances in countless television series, bringing his dependable craft to each performance, no matter the size of the role. Behind the camera, Peter Jason was known not just as a talented actor, but as a generous colleague, humble, professional, and deeply kind. Those who worked with him often spoke about his warmth, humor, and passion for his craft. He believed in the value of hard work and in the importance of giving every role, large or small, the respect it deserved. On February 20, 2025, Peter Jason passed away at his home in West Hollywood, California, after a battle with cancer. He was 80 years old. His death was met with deep sadness across the film community, from fans who grew up watching his work to directors and co-stars who cherished him as both a collaborator and a friend. Peter Jason will be remembered as a consummate professional, an actor who didn't always stand in the spotlight, but who strengthened every scene he was in. His performances carried authenticity, his characters carried weight, and his presence made every story feel more real. Though he may no longer be with us, his body of work remains, a testament to dedication, passion, and the enduring art of the character actor. Roberta Cleopatra Flack, born on February 10, 1937, in Black Mountain, North Carolina, was one of the most luminous voices in American music. A singer, songwriter, and pianist, she brought a level of grace, emotion, and intimacy to popular music that forever changed how ballads would sound and how they would feel. Raised in a family where gospel and classical music met, Roberta's natural gift was clear from childhood. She began playing the piano at the age of 9 and earned a full music scholarship to Howard University by just 15, one of the youngest students ever to attend. Her foundation in classical music shaped her phrasing, tone, and elegance, making her voice instantly recognizable, gentle yet powerful, smooth yet filled with soul. Her rise to fame came in the early 1970s with songs that would become timeless. The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, Killing Me Softly with His Song, and Feel Like Mark in Love were not just chart toppers, they were emotional experiences. Each one felt personal, almost whispered directly to the listener. Roberta didn't just sing, she communicated. Her delivery was honest, tender, and pure, carrying a sense of truth that touched millions of hearts around the world. Her artistry was also groundbreaking. She was the first artist in Grammy history to win Record of the Year in 2 consecutive years, first for The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face in 1973, and then for Killing Me Softly in 1974. That achievement alone cemented her place among music's all-time greats. But her true legacy lay in her ability to blend genres, fusing soul, jazz, gospel, and folk into something uniquely her own. In her later years, Roberta faced one of life's hardest challenges. She was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, a disease that gradually took away her ability to sing and speak. Yet even as her voice fell silent, her spirit never did. She remained a symbol of resilience, continuing to inspire through her recordings, her humanitarian work, and her quiet strength. On February 24, 2025, Roberta Flack passed away peacefully in New York City, surrounded by family. She was 88 years old. Her passing marked the end of an era, but her music continues to live on in every heart she touched. Roberta Flack's legacy is immense. She showed that power doesn't always come from volume, that emotion can be gentle, and truth can be sung in a whisper. Her songs continue to echo through time, reminding us that love, vulnerability, and authenticity are what make art eternal. She may be gone, but her voice, her soft, soulful, unforgettable voice, will forever be heard, whispered, sung, and felt. Ruth Buzzi was born on July 24, 1936, in Westerly, Rhode Island, and raised in Wequitaquock, Connecticut. From a young age, she showed a natural flair for performing, a talent that would one day make her one of America's most beloved comedians. After graduating from the Pasadena Playhouse in California, Ruth began her career on stage before breaking into television. Her big moment came in the late 1960s with the groundbreaking sketch comedy show Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. There, she created one of television's most unforgettable characters, Gladys Ormsby, the cranky, purse-swinging spinster who became an instant fan favorite. Through her humor, facial expressions, and impeccable timing, Ruth Buzzi brought laughter into millions of homes. Her comedy was never mean-spirited, it was warm, clever, and full of humanity. With a single look or gesture, she could make audiences burst into laughter. For her work on Laugh-In, she earned multiple Emmy nominations and secured her place in the history of American comedy. Beyond Laugh-In, Ruth's career spanned decades. She appeared on The Dean Martin Show, Sesame Street, The Tonight Show, and in countless variety programs, cartoons, and films. Her voice and energy were instantly recognizable. She was also known for her kindness offstage, a generous soul who treated everyone with warmth and humor. On May 1, 2025, Ruth Buzzi passed away in Texas at the age of 88. She had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and was under hospice care. Her passing was reported by Fox 5 New York, and tributes poured in from fans and fellow comedians who grew up watching her perform. Ruth Buzzi's legacy reaches far beyond laughter. She showed that comedy is more than jokes, it's comfort, relief, and connection. Her work helped define a golden era of sketch comedy, her characters left an indelible mark on pop culture, and her spirit of joy continues to inspire performers today. Ruth Buzzi will forever be remembered for the laughter she gave, the warmth she shared, and the way she made comedy feel like home. Sylvester Stewart, known to the world as Sly Stone, was born in 1943 in Denton, Texas, and raised in Vallejo, California. From his earliest days, music was his language. A prodigy on multiple instruments, Sly's energy and innovation would soon change the course of popular music forever. In the late 1960s, he founded Sly and the Family Stone, one of the most groundbreaking bands in American history. Their sound, a fusion of funk, soul, rock, and psychedelic energy, broke every rule the industry knew. With songs like Everyday People, Stand, and Family Affair, Sly didn't just create hits, he crafted messages. His music spoke boldly about unity, race, love, and equality, becoming the soundtrack of a generation fighting for change. On stage, Sly was electric, charismatic, fearless, and unpredictable. His performances were raw power and pure joy. But behind that brilliance was a man driven by vision and struggle. He challenged both the musical norms and the social boundaries of his time, assembling one of the first major interracial, mixed-gender bands in the US, proving that music could unite where the world was divided. As the 1970s rolled in, fame brought both triumph and turbulence. Personal battles and the pressures of success slowly pulled him away from the spotlight, but his creative fire never truly faded. Sly's influence continued to ripple through the decades, shaping the sound of artists from Prince to Stevie Wonder, from Public Enemy to Bruno Mars. His innovation in rhythm, groove, and social message helped lay the foundation for modern funk, R&B, and hip-hop. On June 9, 2025, Sly Stone passed away at the age of 82. Though he had been out of the major spotlight for many years, the force of his early work remained as powerful as ever. Generations of musicians, producers, and fans still feel his impact, his rhythms, his rebellion, his relentless belief that music could change the world. Sly Stone's legacy is bold and unshakable. He opened doors, broke molds, and proved that sound itself could be an act of revolution. His voice, his vision, and his fearless creativity forever transformed the way we hear and feel music. Transition. From funk rock brilliance to another voice that redefined emotion and artistry, our next legend reminds us that music can be both power and poetry. There are some voices that rise from humble beginnings and disappear like echoes in the wind. And then there are voices that never fade, voices that become the soundtrack of people's lives, woven into the very heart of a nation. Her laughter is as warm as sunlight, her kindness shines brighter than gold, and her songs are carved from truth itself. She is more than a country singer, more than a songwriter, more than a star who stood beneath the spotlight and made the world fall in love with her voice. She is an idea, a living, breathing symbol of what it means to dream, to work hard, to stay humble, and to never forget where you came from. This is the story of Dolly Rebecca Parton, a woman whose journey from the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee to the world's biggest stages is not just an American story, it's a human one. She didn't come from privilege. She didn't have a safety net. She came from poverty, faith, and a stubborn will that refused to surrender. And through her, millions found hope. Through her, generations found their voice. Dolly Parton has written more than 3,000 songs, but her life itself might be her greatest masterpiece. Her story is not about fame. It's about heart. It's not about glitter and rhinestones, it's about grit and grace. She once said, "If you want the rainbow, you gotta put up with the rain." And those words tell you everything you need to know about who Dolly Parton really is. So today, let's walk that road with her, from a one-room cabin to the grandest halls of music. Let's listen to the voice that still echoes in the soul of America. Because this is not just a story about country music. It's a story about faith, about love, and about how one woman's light can shine so bright, it touches every heart it reaches. This is the story of Dolly Parton, the songbird of America. Long before the spotlight, before the sequins and the fame, before the world knew her name, there was a little girl with a big voice, growing up in the mountains of East Tennessee. She was born Dolly Rebecca Parton, on January 19, 1946, in a one-room cabin on the banks of the Little Pigeon River, in Sevierville, Tennessee, deep in the heart of the Smoky Mountains. She was the fourth of 12 children, a family so large that it filled every inch of that small wooden home. Her father, Robert Lee Parton, was a hard-working farmer and construction laborer, a man with calloused hands and quiet pride. Her mother, Ovie Lee Owens Parton, was a homemaker and singer, gentle, faithful, and creative. Dolly's parents didn't have much. They didn't own fancy clothes, or new furniture, or even steady electricity at times. But they had something that couldn't be bought: love, music, and a bond that would last forever. In that tiny cabin, surrounded by mountains, the world was small, but Dolly's dreams were endless. She remembered nights when rain would tap on the tin roof as her mother sang gospel songs to the children, harmonizing in the dark to keep their spirits high. Those sounds, the hymns, the stories, the laughter, would become the foundation of her music. Music was always a part of us, Dolly would later say. We didn't have money, but we were rich in love and song. Life in the Parton family was not easy. They lived off what they could grow, hunt, or make by hand. Dolly often spoke openly about her childhood, not with shame, but with gratitude. She said she learned the value of hard work from her father, who, despite being illiterate, was one of the smartest and most determined men she ever knew. There were winters when they had no shoes. Summers when the days were spent tending crops or helping the family survive. Yet through it all, Dolly's imagination kept her alive. She used to pretend that a tin can was a microphone. She would stand on a stump, singing to the chickens and cows like they were her audience. And somehow, even then, the world seemed to listen. Dolly wrote her first song before she turned 10. Her family didn't own a real guitar at first. Her uncle built her one out of an old mandolin and fishing line. By the time she was a teenager, she was performing anywhere she could, at churches, local radio stations, and small-town fairs. Her sweet, high-pitched voice and natural stage presence made her unforgettable. She didn't sound like anyone else. She sounded like herself. At just 10 years old, she performed on Knoxville's WIVK radio. By 13, she was making guest appearances on the Cass Walker Farm and Home Hour, a popular regional TV show. People across Tennessee began to notice the little blonde girl with the big, fearless voice. Her family cheered her on, even though every performance meant she'd have to travel hours on winding mountain roads. Her uncle Bill Owens, who recognized her talent early, became her mentor and helped her write songs and perform in small gigs. Those early experiences taught her two things. First, that dreams are worth chasing. Second, that you have to work harder than anyone else to make them real. By the time she graduated high school in 1964, Dolly already knew what she wanted. On the very next morning after graduation, she packed her few belongings, a guitar, a notebook, and clothes sewn by her mother, and left for Nashville, Tennessee. She didn't have a plan. She didn't have money. But she had faith. Nashville was the capital of country music, and for a young girl from Sevierville, it felt like another planet. She was just 18 years old, alone in a big city full of competition, charm, and rejection. But Dolly didn't let fear stop her. She sang anywhere she could. She waited outside studios, handing out demo tapes. She wrote songs late into the night, hoping someone would listen. In the beginning, most doors closed. Many producers didn't take her seriously. Some said she was too country, others said her look was too unusual. But Dolly's strength was that she never tried to fit in. She doubled down on who she was. "I never wanted to be anybody else," she once said. "I always wanted to be me, and I figured if I was myself long enough, the world would catch up." Those early years, poor, simple, and full of music, shaped everything that Dolly Parton would become. The songs she would later write, Coat of Many Colors, My Tennessee Mountain Home, Applejack, were drawn straight from the soul of her childhood. The values of family, faith, and perseverance never left her. No matter how famous she became, Dolly never forgot the dirt roads, the laughter of her siblings, and the songs her mother used to sing by candlelight. Her story was never about escaping poverty. It was about transforming it, turning pain into beauty and hardship into harmony. From a one-room cabin in the mountains, to the brink of a dream that would soon touch the entire world. Dolly Parton's journey had just begun. When Dolly Parton stepped off that bus in Nashville in 1964, she carried nothing but a suitcase, a guitar, and a dream so big it could fill the Tennessee sky. She was only 18 years old, young, hopeful, and completely unknown. Nashville was a city of dreamers, where talent overflowed on every street corner. But for every star who made it, there were 1,000 who didn't. Dolly didn't care about the odds. She had grown up fighting for everything she ever had. She knew what it meant to be poor, to be overlooked, to be underestimated, and that's what made her unstoppable. Her first months in Nashville were rough. She lived in a tiny apartment, often skipping meals to afford rent. She knocked on doors, visited every studio she could, and handed out demo tapes to anyone who would listen. Producers would glance at her, a small, soft-spoken girl with a thick mountain accent, and politely turn her away. Some told her she didn't fit the image of country music. Others said she was too young, too naive, too different. But Dolly knew that being different was her gift. She didn't want to sound like anyone else. She didn't want to blend in, she wanted to shine. At night, she'd write songs in her small room, her notebook filled with lyrics inspired by home, faith, and family. She would often say that writing was her way of talking to God, a way to turn her pain into something beautiful. Before she became a superstar, Dolly was a songwriter. She began working with her uncle Bill Owens, who had always believed in her, and together they started selling songs to other artists. In the mid-1960s, one of her first major successes came when singer Bill Phillips recorded "Put It Off Until Tomorrow," a song written by Dolly and her uncle. The song became a hit, and people started asking, who wrote that? Suddenly, the Nashville industry began to notice the young woman with the golden pen. Her lyrics were pure, emotional, and real, drawn from life's simple truths. Dolly had a way of writing that made listeners feel seen, understood, and comforted. She said, "I write from my heart. I write what I know. And I figure if I'm feeling it, somebody else out there must be too." Her words carried the sound of the South, the pain of poverty, and the poetry of survival. In 1967, after years of struggle, Dolly finally got her big break. She was invited to join the Porter Wagoner Show, one of the most popular country music television programs in America. Porter Wagoner was already a household name, a flashy, confident performer known for his rhinestone suits and charm. When he introduced Dolly as his new duet partner, some in the audience were skeptical. But the moment she opened her mouth to sing, the room changed. Her voice, pure, emotional, and soulful, blended perfectly with Porter's. Together, they became one of the most beloved duos in country music. Their chemistry on stage was undeniable. They released hit after hit, songs like "The Last Thing on My Mind" and "Please Don't Stop Loving Me." But beneath the success, Dolly knew that to truly become who she was meant to be, she had to stand on her own. As Dolly's fame grew, so did her independence. She loved and respected Porter Wagoner deeply, but by 1974, she knew it was time to leave his show and start her solo career. When she told him she was leaving, he didn't take it well. He felt betrayed, hurt. After all, they had built something special together. Dolly wanted to express her gratitude, her sadness, and her love in a way only she could, through song. And that's when she wrote "I Will Always Love You." It wasn't a breakup song. It wasn't angry or bitter. It was a goodbye letter, one filled with grace, humility, and heart. When she first played it for Porter, he reportedly cried. And when the song was released, it became an instant hit, reaching #1 on the country charts not once, but twice, first in 1974, and again in 1982. Years later, Whitney Houston would record her own version for the Bodyguard soundtrack, turning it into one of the biggest songs in music history. But at its core, it was still Dolly's story, a farewell wrapped in love. After leaving the Porter Wagoner Show, Dolly Parton's solo career exploded. Her debut single Jolene became a sensation, a haunting tale of beauty, jealousy, and heartbreak that showcased her storytelling genius. In one simple song, she captured the feeling of insecurity that lives in every heart, and turned it into art. With her blonde hair, dazzling outfits, and country charm, Dolly was unlike anyone the world had ever seen. But behind the glitz, there was always substance. Her voice, that unmistakable tone, carried both innocence and power. Her songwriting blended truth and poetry, hope and sorrow. By the mid-1970s, Dolly Parton had become not just a star, but a phenomenon. And she did it all on her own terms. Every great legend has that one moment when the world realizes who they are. For Dolly, That moment wasn't a headline or an award, it was her courage to walk away from what was safe and create something entirely new. That decision, to leave, to risk everything, to bet on herself, changed her life forever. Because sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is say goodbye. By the mid-1970s, the world finally knew her name. Dolly Parton, the girl who grew up in the Smoky Mountains, was no longer just a country singer. She was a storyteller, a performer, and a living spark of joy. Her voice carried a warmth that felt familiar to everyone who heard it, whether they lived in a small southern town or a bustling city halfway across the world. She was real. And people could feel it. The late 1970s and early 1980s marked a new chapter in Dolly's career, one that would define her as not just a country legend, but a global icon. In 1974, she released Jolene, a song that became an instant classic. Its haunting melody, paired with her vulnerable plea, captured the pain of love and jealousy in a way that only Dolly could. But that was just the beginning. Within a few short years, she would release hit after hit: Love Is Like a Butterfly, Here You Come Again, Two Doors Down, Islands in the Stream, and 9 to 5. Each song felt personal yet universal, whether it was about heartbreak, independence, or hope. Dolly had the rare gift of turning simple moments into emotional epics. Music made her famous, but it was Hollywood that made her a superstar. In 1980, Dolly made her acting debut in the film 9 to 5, alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. The movie was a comedy about three working women who fight back against their sexist boss, and it struck a chord with audiences everywhere. Not only did Dolly act in the film, she also wrote and performed its title song, 9 to 5. The song became an anthem, a bold declaration for working women, for fairness, for equality. It topped the Billboard charts, earned her Grammy Awards, and made her one of the few artists to top both the country and pop charts at the same time. Dolly's performance in the film proved what her fans already knew: she could do anything. She wasn't just funny, she was brilliant. She brought depth, timing, and heart to her character. And she did it all while staying completely, unmistakably herself. By now, Dolly's image was as iconic as her voice. The big blonde hair, the glittering rhinestones, the glamorous outfits, it was all part of her magic. But behind the glamour, there was always meaning. She once said, "I'm not offended by all the dumb blonde jokes, because I know I'm not dumb. And I also know I'm not blonde." That line summed her up perfectly: sharp, self-aware, and fearless. Dolly Parton used humor to disarm people, kindness to connect with them, and intelligence to outwork them. Her appearance might have been exaggerated, but her authenticity was real. Everything about her, from her accent to her generosity, was pure Dolly. Through the 1980s, Dolly became a symbol of success, and not just in country music. She collaborated with stars like Kenny Rogers on Islands in the Stream, one of the most beloved duets in music history. She filled stadiums, sold millions of records, and became one of the few artists to bridge the gap between pop and country without losing her roots. But even with fame and fortune, Dolly never lost touch with who she was. She still spoke lovingly about her childhood. She still visited her family in Tennessee. She still wrote songs about simple things: home, love, faith, and pride. Dolly's fans saw her not as a distant celebrity, but as a friend, someone who understood their lives, their struggles, their hopes. Of course, fame isn't all glitter and gold. As Dolly's star rose, so did the pressure. She was constantly working, writing, performing, touring, filming. There were days when exhaustion took its toll. She faced media scrutiny, body shaming, and constant gossip about her looks, her relationships, her career choices. But through it all, Dolly kept smiling. She turned every insult into a punchline, every challenge into a song. "I just laugh it off," she said once. "If you take life too seriously, you miss all the fun." Behind that smile, however, was an iron will. Dolly Parton was not a woman to be underestimated. She was the captain of her own ship, and she refused to let anyone else steer it. What set Dolly apart was not just her talent, it was her heart. In 1986, she opened Dollywood, her very own theme park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, a place that celebrated her heritage and brought jobs and pride to her hometown. She could have built it anywhere. But she built it there, in the same mountains where she grew up. Dollywood became more than an amusement park. It became a symbol of homecoming, proof that no matter how far you go, you can always return to your roots. For the people of Tennessee, Dolly wasn't just a celebrity. She was family. She gave back to the community that raised her, creating scholarships, supporting hospitals, and building a legacy of kindness. By the late 1980s and into the 1990s, Dolly Parton had become a household name around the world. Her music transcended genres and generations. From country to pop, from gospel to bluegrass, her voice carried through it all, always unmistakable, always true. She performed for presidents and queens, filled arenas across continents, and earned the respect of legends like Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, and Loretta Lynn. But what truly made her a legend was not the awards, not the fame, but the love. People didn't just admire Dolly Parton. They adored her. Because no matter how big she got, she never acted bigger than anyone else. She remained the same girl who sang barefoot in a mountain church, dreaming of something more. In a world that often celebrates arrogance and ego, Dolly Parton's humility stood out. She never needed to tear others down to lift herself up. She never let bitterness replace her warmth. Her secret was simple: she led with love. And because of that, her fame never felt hollow, it felt earned. Through every song, every performance, every laugh, Dolly reminded the world that success doesn't have to change your soul. It can, in fact, amplify it. By the end of the 1980s, Dolly Parton wasn't just an entertainer anymore. She was an institution, a symbol of perseverance, creativity, and compassion. From Nashville honky-tonks to the grand stages of Hollywood, from a one-room cabin to Dollywood's gates, her journey was nothing short of miraculous. And yet, even in the spotlight, Dolly's heart always remained in the shadows of those Tennessee hills, where it all began. Behind every bright smile is a story that the camera doesn't see. Behind every success, there's a struggle, and behind every legend, a very human heart. For Dolly Parton, the world has always seen her laughter, her sparkle, her confidence. But behind the glittering rhinestones and warm southern charm, there were quiet storms, moments of doubt, of exhaustion, of loneliness. By the 1980s, Dolly was one of the most famous women in the world. Her face was everywhere, on television, on posters, on magazine covers. But fame, as she learned, can be both a blessing and a burden. The constant pressure to perform, to please, to remain perfect, began to take a toll. She was working non-stop, recording albums, filming movies, touring the world. Every smile she gave on stage sometimes masked the pain of fatigue and emotional struggle. In interviews, she later admitted that she went through a period of deep depression, a darkness that few could imagine. The woman who made millions laugh was quietly fighting her own inner battles. She faced health issues too, from exhaustion to hormonal imbalances to weight fluctuations caused by stress. The demands of fame left her little time for herself. There were days when her confidence wavered, when the world's judgment cut deep. People mocked her accent, her hair, her curves, her look. But Dolly never let cruelty win. She turned insults into humor, saying, "I'm not offended by all the dumb blonde jokes, because I know I'm not dumb, and I also know I'm not blonde." It was her way of taking power back, of transforming pain into laughter. But humor wasn't just her defense. It was her shield. Still, behind closed doors, Dolly admitted to moments of doubt and even despair. She once said, softly, "I'm just a human being. I cry, I hurt, I bleed like everyone else." For a woman who seemed larger than life, those words revealed something real, a heart that had endured heartbreak and still chose kindness. Throughout her career, Dolly's marriage has always been a mystery to the public. She married Carl Dean in 1966, a quiet man who preferred to stay out of the spotlight. Unlike Dolly, Carl avoided fame completely. He rarely attended her shows or public events. And for decades, tabloids speculated about their relationship, inventing rumors and questioning their love. But in truth, their bond was simply different, private, strong, and enduring. Dolly once said, "He's my biggest fan and my greatest critic. He loves me for me, not for what I do." Yet even with love at home, the life of a star can be isolating. Endless travel, bright lights, hotel rooms, fame often feels lonely at the top. And Dolly, for all her laughter and light, was no stranger to that loneliness. She poured it into her music. In songs like Hard Candy Christmas and Starting Over Again, you can hear the ache of a woman who has carried heartbreak with grace. In her darkest moments, Dolly turned to her faith. Raised in a Christian home, she never lost her belief in God. But as her fame grew, she often found herself pulled between the spiritual and the material worlds. When the pressures of fame felt unbearable, she turned to prayer. She once said, "God is my anchor. When I don't know where to turn, I turn to Him." That faith became her strength, her quiet foundation. Through faith, she found peace. Through giving, she found healing. And through kindness, she found purpose. There's a saying that Dolly often repeats, "The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you gotta put up with the rain." Those words didn't come from a fairy tale. They came from experience. She faced betrayal, illness, loss, and emotional pain, but she never let it define her. Every time life tried to break her, she turned the pieces into a song. That's why her music feels so human, because it was born from truth. She wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. She sang about insecurity in Jolene, about forgiveness in I Will Always Love You, about gratitude in Coat of Many Colors. Each song was a mirror of her heart, fragile, flawed, but full of hope. Dolly has often said that fame came with sacrifices. She never had children of her own, not because she didn't want to, but because her path led her elsewhere. She once reflected, "God didn't let me have kids, so I could be everybody's mama." And in a way, she has been a motherly presence to millions, giving comfort through her music, wisdom through her words, and hope through her kindness. But the truth is, the road to greatness often leaves scars. Behind the applause, there are quiet moments of pain. Dolly Parton has lived through heartbreak, health scares, depression, and doubt. But through it all, she never stopped shining. Because her light didn't come from fame, it came from within. What makes Dolly so extraordinary is not that she's perfect, but that she's real. She never tried to hide her struggles. She talked about them openly, so others wouldn't feel alone. She reminded the world that it's okay to fall, as long as you get back up again. She said, "Storms make trees take deeper roots." And that's exactly what she did. She took root in the soil of hardship, and from it, she grew stronger. She turned every storm into a song. Every heartbreak into a lesson. Every challenge into a chance to rise. Behind the glitter, the wigs, the laughter, there is a woman who has known darkness and chosen light. Her resilience is not loud, it's quiet, graceful, and constant. And that's what makes Dolly Parton not just an icon, but an inspiration. She once said, "I'm not trying to get away from the storms of life, I'm just trying to learn how to dance in the rain." And dance, she did. When you speak the name Dolly Parton, it's hard to separate the woman from the legend. She's written more than 3,000 songs, sold over 100 million records, and built an empire from sheer determination and faith. But if you ask Dolly what her greatest achievement is, she won't talk about awards, money, or fame. She'll talk about people. About giving. About the difference a single song or a single act of kindness can make. Dolly's songs are her legacy, each one a chapter in her story and in ours. She has written hits across genres, country, pop, gospel, bluegrass, crafting melodies that transcend time. Her pen gave the world Jolene, I Will Always Love You, Coat of Many Colors, 9 to 5, Love is Like a Butterfly, Do I Ever Cross Your Mind, Here You Come Again, and countless others. Few artists have the gift of touching both the heart and the soul with such simplicity and truth. Dolly doesn't just write songs, she writes feelings. She once said, "Songwriting is my therapy. I pour out everything I can't say." And perhaps that's why her songs heal people, because they come from a heart that knows pain yet still chooses love. Over her 6-decade career, Dolly Parton has received 11 Grammy Awards, including a Lifetime Achievement Award, and more than 50 Grammy nominations. She has also earned 10 Country Music Association Awards, 5 Academy of Country Music Awards, and 3 American Music Awards. In 1999, she was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, solidifying her place among the all-time greats. In 2022, she received the Carnegie Medal of Philanthropy, honoring her lifelong dedication to giving back. And in 2023, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame welcomed her, even though, in classic Dolly fashion, she humbly said she didn't think she deserved it. Her humility made her acceptance all the more powerful. Because Dolly's greatness isn't measured in trophies, it's measured in hearts touched, in lives changed, in kindness shared. In 1995, Dolly launched one of the most beautiful and enduring charitable programs in history, the Imagination Library. Inspired by her father, who couldn't read or write, Dolly vowed to ensure that no child would ever be denied the gift of literacy. What began as a small local project in Sevier County, Tennessee, soon spread across the United States, and then across the world. Today, the Imagination Library has given away over 200 million free books to children in more than 5 countries. That means millions of kids, some who had never owned a book before, have grown up reading because of Dolly Parton. When asked why she started it, she said, "I just thought, maybe if I can get books in the hands of children, they'll learn to read, and reading will give them wings." It's not just charity, it's transformation. Through her books, Dolly gave children something she never had growing up: opportunity. In 1986, Dolly Parton opened Dollywood, a theme park in her beloved hometown of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. But Dollywood was never just about rides and attractions, it was about pride, about community, about giving back. The park created thousands of jobs, boosted tourism, and revitalized an entire region. For the people of East Tennessee, Dollywood isn't just a business, it's a symbol. A celebration of hard work, creativity, and home. Dolly said, "I wanted to give back to the place that gave me everything." And she did, not with words, but with action. Dolly's generosity reaches far beyond Tennessee. In 2016, when wildfires tore through the Smoky Mountains and destroyed hundreds of homes, she launched the My People Fund, donating $1,000 a month for 6 months to every family who lost their home. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck, Dolly donated $1 million to help fund the development of the Moderna vaccine. And when asked about it, she didn't seek praise. She simply said, "I'm just trying to do my part." To her, giving isn't about headlines. It's about heartlines. Dolly has conquered every stage she's ever touched. As a musician, she's a country and pop legend. As an actress, she starred in unforgettable films like 9 to 5, Steel Magnolias, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and Joyful Noise. As a producer, she's brought faith-filled stories to television, from Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors to Heartstrings. And as an author, she's written memoirs, cookbooks, and children's stories, all sprinkled with her humor and warmth. Every project she touches carries the same message. Be yourself. Work hard. Be kind. For Dolly, faith is not a performance, it's her foundation. She starts every day with prayer, gratitude, and reflection. She once said, "I ask God to guide me, to use me, and to keep me humble." And that humility has never left her, not even after decades of fame. Her marriage to Carl Dean, which has lasted over 55 years, is one of the quietest, most private relationships in entertainment history. While the world knows her as the superstar in sequins, Carl knows her simply as Dolly, the girl from Locust Ridge, who still laughs, cooks, and sings at home. Dolly Parton's success isn't magic, it's mastery. She built her career on 3 timeless principles. Work hard. Stay humble. Give more than you take. She turned her name into a brand, but never into an ego. She balanced business and art, faith and fame, humanity and humor. She once said, "You have to find out who you are and do it on purpose." And she's lived by that every single day. When future generations look back at the 20th and 21st centuries, Dolly Parton's name will shine among the greats, not just as a musician, but as a humanitarian. She has shown the world that success means nothing without kindness, and that true beauty comes from the heart. Her laughter has healed, her music has inspired, and her love has lifted millions. She reminds us that no matter where you come from, no matter how poor or broken your beginnings, you can still rise, you can still dream, and you can still give back. Her story is proof that you don't need to be born with privilege to make a difference. You just need a song in your heart, faith in your soul, and the courage to share both with the world. That's the magic of Dolly Parton. Her achievements go far beyond the charts. They live forever in the hearts of those she's touched. Today, Dolly Parton stands as one of the last great icons of American music, a living legend whose story stretches from the dirt roads of Tennessee to the world's biggest stages. She is 79 years old, and still glowing with the same light that's carried her all these years. Her laughter still rings with joy. Her words still carry wisdom. And her songs, they still sound like home. In her 70s, most people slow down. But not Dolly. She doesn't believe in retirement. She believes in purpose. She continues to record new music, write songs, and collaborate with artists young enough to be her grandchildren. Her energy seems endless, and her curiosity for life, unshakable. In recent years, she has surprised the world with bold moves, like her 2023 rock album Rockstar, where she collaborated with icons such as Elton John, Stevie Nicks, Paul McCartney, and Miley Cyrus. It wasn't about proving herself. It was about celebrating creativity, showing that art has no age, and passion has no expiration date. When asked how she keeps going, she smiled and said, "I'm not slowing down. I'm just shifting gears." That's Dolly, unstoppable, forever evolving, and forever herself. Beyond music, Dolly Parton has become something even greater, a cultural symbol of kindness, humility, and hope. In an age where fame often divides people, she unites them. In a world that celebrates ego, she celebrates empathy. From presidents to children, from Nashville to London to Tokyo, people look at Dolly and see more than a star. They see a woman who never forgot where she came from. She once said, "I may look fake, but I'm real where it counts, in my heart." And that truth shines through in everything she does. She's proof that fame and humility can coexist, that success and compassion can walk hand in hand. No matter how far she travels, her heart has never left Tennessee. She still calls the Smoky Mountains her home. She still visits Dollywood often, walking through the park that bears her name, greeting fans, laughing with workers, hugging children who grew up reading her books. To the people of Sevier County, she's not a distant celebrity. She's their Dolly, the same mountain girl who made them proud. And to her, they are family. In her words, "These are my people. Everything I do because of them and for them." Her legacy isn't built on fame, but on belonging, a connection to the land and the people who shaped her soul. As she's grown older, Dolly has embraced aging with humor and grace. While others hide from it, she celebrates it. She often jokes about her wigs and surgeries, saying, "It takes a lot of money to look this cheap." But beneath the laughter, there's wisdom, a lesson about authenticity. She reminds the world that beauty fades, but character doesn't. That dreams don't retire. And that life, no matter how hard, is still something to be grateful for. "I'm not trying to be younger," she said once. "I'm just trying to be better." And in that single sentence lies the secret to her everlasting light. Dolly Parton's influence is everywhere. You can see it in the artists who look up to her, from Reba McEntire to Casey Musgraves, from Miley Cyrus to Taylor Swift. You can hear it in the songs that echo her storytelling style, in the laughter of the people she's inspired, in the kindness of those who follow her example. She's become a bridge, between generations, between genres, between hearts. Few artists have achieved what she has: success without arrogance, faith without judgment, fame without losing their soul. Dolly's legacy isn't just about music, it's about what she represents. Hope, grace, authenticity, love. Even now, after decades of fame, Dolly refuses to stop connecting with people. She writes letters to fans. She donates millions quietly, without ever announcing it. She continues to surprise the world, not with scandals or gossip, but with goodness. Her interviews sparkle with humor, her laughter fills rooms, and her presence makes everyone feel seen. She is that rare kind of celebrity who belongs to everyone, because she never stopped being one of us. Today, Dolly Parton stands not only as a musician or actress or businesswoman, but as a living legend of compassion. Her story proves that success doesn't have to harden the heart. It can open it wider. Her smile, her sparkle, her faith, They're all reminders that kindness is a power that never fades. And though she's reached every height an artist could dream of, Dolly's greatest masterpiece will always be the life she's lived, honest, generous, and full of heart. She came from a cabin in the mountains. She rose to global stardom. And through it all, she never forgot who she was. Dolly Parton, the girl who believed in dreams. The woman who turned them into songs. And the legend who taught the world that faith, love, and laughter can carry you anywhere. There are stars that burn bright for a season. And then there are those rare souls who shine forever. Not because of their fame, but because of their heart. Dolly Rebecca Parton is one of those souls. From the worn wood floors of a one-room cabin in Tennessee, to the shining stages of the world, she has carried with her the same faith, the same kindness, and the same unbreakable light. Her story is not just a tale of fame. It's a song, a long, beautiful ballad about courage, compassion, and staying true to who you are. Every lyric she's written, every laugh she's shared, every act of giving, it all forms one great harmony that still plays across generations. She taught us that it's okay to dream big, even if you start with nothing. That you can be poor in money but rich in love. That beauty is not about perfection, it's about purpose. And that no matter how high you climb, the true measure of success is how gently you lift others along the way. When people talk about Dolly, they mention her music, her awards, her fame. But when her fans talk about her, they mention how she made them feel. She made people believe in themselves. She gave children books to dream with. She gave families hope after tragedy. She gave the world laughter when it needed it most. Her faith, her generosity, her heart, they're not acts of charity. They're her way of saying, I see you. You matter. And that is what makes her one of the greatest human beings of our time. Her songs, they never fade. When Jolene plays, we remember the ache of love. When 9 to 5 starts, we remember our strength. When Coat of Many Colors fills the air, we remember that love is worth more than gold. And when I Will Always Love You plays, we remember what goodbye truly means, not an ending, but gratitude. These aren't just songs. They are pieces of our lives, stitched together by a woman who knew how to turn her own struggles into everyone's healing. She's a songwriter, an actress, a businesswoman, a philanthropist. But before all of that, she's simply Dolly. The girl who sang to the mountains. The woman who never stopped believing. The icon who proved that kindness never goes out of style. She's the daughter of a farmer and a dreamer. The voice of the people. The heart of a nation. Years from now, when new voices rise, when new stars take the stage, the world will still remember her. Because Dolly Parton isn't just part of music history. She's part of human history. She showed us that it's possible to stay humble when you're powerful. To stay kind when the world isn't. To stay hopeful, even when life feels impossible. Her legacy isn't made of gold records. It's made of grace. She once said, I'm not trying to be remembered for being rich or famous. I just want to be remembered for being good. And she will be. Because when people hear her voice, they hear comfort. When they see her smile, they see light. And when they remember her name, they remember love. Dolly Parton's story is living proof that kindness is timeless. That dreams are never too big. And that a little girl from the Smoky Mountains can, with a guitar and a prayer, change the world. She has given the world her laughter, her music, and her heart. And in return, the world will love her, always. Because when you hear Dolly Parton, you don't just hear a voice. You hear hope. Person with praying hands, if this tribute moved you, please like this video, subscribe to Gone Legends, and share this memory with others who appreciate the magic these stars brought. In doing that, we ensure they are never forgotten.